It's another Sunday. Thanks a lot for joining us on this day. A very busy week we've had with the news as usual. The NNPC and the Ministry of Petroleum has been in the news for the past week, with a lot of drama with regards to the powers of the Minister of State. There were accusations flying all over the place with the head of the probably the most popular parastatal in this country, and the Minister of State, as well as the Minister himself, who's Mr. President Buhari. There were so many allegations and figures being thrown around. But we woke up on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday to see the Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State for Petroleum, the NPC Oga, shaking hands and having a laugh, and most of us were not sure exactly where the truce was called, but things have sort of cooled off since then. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more, of course, the things that caught our attention this past week. I have it with me, Wale Oshunde. Thanks for being here today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I mean, it's a good thing that the nerves are calm now, but doesn't it leave so many more questions unanswered, seeing as are we supposed to just move on now that they're smiling and friendly again? Talking about Baru and Kachiko.
I think that would be unfortunate, because the very most prominent question that we need to ask at this point in time is, where is our money? I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars, and then, I mean, those issues are still not being addressed, and then I think the president actually needs to put his house in order, and then, of course, call these officers and then question the whereabouts of these funds. It's very important. I think the most important thing that bothers Nigerians would be the whereabouts of the money. I mean, we want to know how these monies were spent. I mean, it's gladdening and heartwarming that the vice president said that he indeed signed some contracts or authorized some awards and what have you. But I mean, for Mr. Kachukwu to come and say that he has evidence to XYZ amount, that's huge. And so we really need to prove that further, and then we need to get our money. Yeah. Because that is what is of importance to Nigeria.
Before we talk about the money, a lot of people have continued to debate about the need to have a Minister of State if he supposedly or allegedly seems to not have any powers to do anything. Fine, Baru did come out and say, okay, I didn't need you to authorize certain things because I had access to the minister who's the president, or the board of the NPC doesn't approve this, is the board. There were just so many dynamics to that particular drama. But the question being, if we have a Minister of State who is supposed to oversee the ministry, seeing as Mr. President has his hands full with many other things, and he still doesn't seem to be aware of the way the live wire of this country is run, what does he say about, his position going forward?
You see, the honest truth is that I've been an advocate of scrapping off ministers of state for XYZ. Why do we need all of that? It's unnecessary duplicity, we do not really need that, clearly speaking. And then from the dramas that we have seen and we have continued to see in this country, I mean, you see that there is basically no, I mean, you hear about a senior minister, junior minister. What's the meaning of that? I mean, yes, I can understand. Yes, I can understand the fact that the Constitution mandates the president to choose at least one minister per state. That is fantastic. But there are ways of going about it. You fusing 3 ministries into one person, 3 powerful ministries, for example, power, works, housing. This could actually be separated, and then you give another person the opportunity of overseeing one of those magnificent ministries. That's the honest truth. Because now fusing 3 ministries, for example, into one person, you want to kill the man. And that's exactly why he's not been able, he's still struggling to make sense in all of those ministries, because these are really magnificent ministries, and you don't expect him to perform magic overnight. It's not possible. So instead of having Minister of State for XYZ, when the substantive minister would never give you a chance to perform more than whatever you would do there, I think it's really not, it's not reasonable. That's the honest truth. So going forward, I think that the president should appoint a substantive minister of petroleum, and if he feels that he wants to personally oversee that ministry, there is no problem about it. But ensure that you find another job for Mr. Kachukwu. That's my own opinion, and that's the honest truth.
I mean, there's the sort of, a debate which could be seen as valid by a lot of people. We've had quite a lot of corruption allegations over time, over the years, with the minister, whoever the Minister of Petroleum has been in this country, most notably the very last one, Diezani Alisi-Madake, who is undergoing trial now in the United Kingdom and could possibly come back to Nigeria and also face the same thing here. And Mr. President did say that that was one of the reasons why he wanted to oversee the ministry, to make sure that, you know, certain things were kept in check. So how do we balance that out with, you know, trying to make sure that this ministry, which has sadly so much potential, but nothing is being fulfilled because there's so many hands in there who want to grab and eat, while also, you know, making sure that things are done properly? How do we balance that and making sure that corruption doesn't eat the whole thing up?
You see, yes, I appreciate you. And then the honest truth is that the president, I mean, he's a good man. He understands what he's talking about. I agree with him 100%. But you see, the real truth of the matter is that most of the laws that we have in Nigeria recognizes the office of the minister and not Minister of State. If you check out the Petroleum Act, the Oil Pipelines Act, I mean, all number of laws that we have in Nigeria only recognizes the office of the Minister of Petroleum. In fact, it is expressly spelled out that the Minister of Petroleum Resources. And so you can only find all of these kind of things happening because the GMD of NNPC would be saying that he's responsible, you know, to the minister, and then it can only go to the minister, and that is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I think going forward, what we simply need to do is to look for another office for the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, so that all of these back and forth would actually stop. And that's the honest truth. So, but I really do not see any reason why the Group Managing Director of the NNPC would not be able to work, you know, fantastically well with Dr. Kachukwu, and that's the honest truth. I want to believe that there are some elements of politicking going on, you know, one way or the other, and then maybe they really need to sort out one thing or the other. But I just want to appeal that this should not happen, you know, at the expense of Nigerians who are actually yearning for the desired change.